Today on Cleveland Stage Door, I'm excited to welcome a powerhouse performer whose credits include Alphaba on Wicked, Waitress, and now Tony Award winning Kimberly Akimbo. She's currently starring as Deborah in the national tour, and the show is making its way to Cleveland next week. Up next, we welcome the incredibly talented Emily Koch. Welcome, Emily, to the show. This is so exciting. Emily, you're from Kimberly Akimbo, coming to town in about a week from now, July 15th through August 3rd. Emily, what is Kimberly Akimbo about?
Kimberly Akimbo is such a unique, fascinating story. It is about a 16-year-old girl that has a fictional genetic condition that ages her body 5 times the natural rate. So she is 16, but she's played by a 65-year-old woman. And it is about essentially her year at high school, falling in like, having her first crush, making friends, dealing with her zany, to say it lightly, family, possible felony charges. You'll have to come see the show to see what that's about, and just going on the great adventure that is life itself and figuring out what you want to do with the time that you're given.
So you say it's a fictional disorder. So it's not based
Hmm.
on an actual disorder. It's based on something that's just made up for the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Got it. So you play Aunt Deborah in the show.
Yes.
Tell us who is Aunt Deborah?
So Aunt Deborah is such a fabulous, fun character. She is no holds barred. She says what she means. She is all business. She might be the one who brings in the possible felony charges. You'll have to come see the show to see what that's about. But she is hilarious and honest and loves her niece Kim in the best way she can. And she's just a blast to play.
And I've heard that the show is very like quirky comedy with deep emotional themes. Like
Absolutely.
what is it like stepping into that unique tone every night?
It's been so fun. It's such a challenge and such a delight for an actor to go back and forth between something so sad and so funny, but it feels so much like life. I mean, I feel like our director said it best. She was like, the thing that we like to do with Kimberly Akimbo is that if anything gets too sweet, we sprinkle a little lemon juice on it, and then if it gets too sour, put a little sugar back on. And that's exactly how it feels. But I feel like the thing I've noticed the most doing the show is that this is so often how we feel in life. Something breaks your heart and then you laugh. It's so incredibly human, and that is so much fun to play.
And we know that the show really captured hearts in New York on Broadway, and it's a Tony Award winning show. How would you say audiences across the country have responded to it on tour?
It's been so fun to take it around the country. We knew New York would love it, and I feel like the comments that we get most often are, I didn't know a single thing about this show. I just heard it won the Tony, or I have season tickets, or my mom bought them. And I'm so glad I didn't know anything because it just delighted me and I had no clue what I was getting into. And that's like our favorite comment, and people are in tears, and they're just like, I just did not know what to expect at all, and I'm so pleasantly surprised.
I've heard that so much lately. I just heard about that with Shucked. Like I just talked to
Yeah,
Quinn from
totally.
Shucked, and we had no idea. I was like, I was honest with him. I was like, I have no idea what the show is about. I've done so much research, and I still don't know. And he's like, I hear that every week, every
Yeah,
night. But it was
exactly.
such a great show. So let's talk about this. So you're actually touring with your partner you met on with Waitress. What is it like to share the stage and the road with someone you're close to?
It is such a blessing, to be honest. It's just been such a delight. And, we met doing Waitress, and we kind of thought, it's pretty rare to work with your romantic significant other. We were like, this will probably never happen again. And then we both got Kimberly Akimbo on Broadway, and we were like, well, it'll never happen again after this. And then we both got the tour. So this is kind of our third time working together, which is so shocking.
Wow.
And it's just been an absolute delight. And something that's really fun with this show is that our characters despise each other on stage. So, if we're ever having an issue, we can work it out on stage and we don't have to take it home.
That is amazing. So what do you think the biggest differences are? Has there been any changes since the Broadway run and now the tour,
There
like in
are
the
a
show?
few, yeah, there are a few little changes. I would say most of it is the set, and there's certain things that came out of different places that we've changed for the tour to travel it easier. And I will say that there is ice skating in the show,
Oh,
and my character didn't used to ice skate, and I am ice skating in this. So you'll have to come see how that all works.
so I have to ask who has the bloopers on that? Because we know there's going to be bloopers.
We all do. We all do. I feel like we were just in Chicago last week and we had like a falling epidemic. I feel like all of us were falling in Chicago. So
That's
you never
amazing.
know.
I was just going to ask my literal next follow-up question is like any backstage rituals or funny on the road stories that you could share from the
Oh,
tour so
so
far?
many. I actually have one from last night. We were opening in Memphis, having a great time, and there is a scene around a dinner table in the second act that is the people from the Broadway company who are now traveling with the tour know that this scene is notoriously cursed for forgetting your lines. It just has a curse around it, and last night the curse came for me.
No.
And I just went totally up, had no clue where I was. Luckily, my scene partners were with me and we got back on, but I was like, the curse is back in
I was going to
an
say like
inevitable turn.
I always wondered like what happens in that situation in an actual live environment.
You just pray. And I feel like we have a way as actors. I got something out, I got a verse out. It just wasn't the right verse. So something overtakes you, and luckily that song you can figure your way out. But this has happened so many times. We're eating rolls. It's like a dinner table scene, and people
Mhm.
have choked on rolls. People have choked on water. I feel
No.
like it just is like ripe for that kind of thing.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. So I touched on this in the intro. Your background is crazy. So
Thank you.
so Alphaba and Wicked,
Hmm.
you played in Waitress.
Yep.
Now you're in Kimberly Akimbo.
Yes.
How has your experience shaped you as a performer, going from so many key roles?
Oh man, I mean, truly, like the thing is I feel like I had the best training ground ever. I mean, total trial by fire with Alphaba being my like second professional job ever out of college.
Right, right.
So that was, there's no bigger, crazier part to do. So I feel like, although hard, taught me so much so fast. And having that as my baseline, I feel like I've been able to build anything because of that. Because, you're going to run into every possible thing in theater playing Alphaba,
Mhm.
you're gonna be tired. You're gonna be so excited. You're gonna be run the gamut of everything, and that really set me up for being able to do this. When you tour, because I did it on tour and on Broadway, when you tour something that giant, you just start to learn. Like, I got to make sure that when it's really hot in, Cleveland, when we're there in July, that I get my electrolytes because I remember last time, like
Mhm.
it's all that
Mhm.
kind of little insider stuff that really, really helps.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure you don't get green nail polish anymore, right? After that?
You know
I've
what's
heard.
so funny is that green is my favorite color and always has been, so I do get it like
Okay.
occasionally. But definitely for like a year after, I was like, I need pink, the most opposite of green.
I've heard those stories. I've talked to a few alphabets, and they're like, "I can't do anything green for a while
Yeah,
after
right.
that."
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's been a second now since I've played it, so I'm like refreshed on the green. But back in the day, I was like, I need pink anything.
So, I'm sure you've been asked this a million times. What are your thoughts on the movie Wicked?
Incredible. Was blown away by it, truly. And I didn't really know what to expect, with a musical movie of Wicked. I was like, this could go so many ways, but I should have, I know the people involved, the producers and the creators, and I should have just trusted them. I was absolutely blown away by it. I loved it.
I can't wait for the second one, the second
Me
part. The
too.
trailer was incredible. I was
I
shocked.
know.
I was
I'm
blown
glad
away.
that they're gonna get dark with it. I think it's gonna be really, really good.
Absolutely. So get us back on track here. How do you choose or approach new roles in your career after like the variety you've had so far?
Totally. I feel like parts find me. I have yet to like originate like a Broadway role or something like that. So I have done replacing in stuff so far, and that's been so great because I saw the off-Broadway production. Like, for example, for Kimberly, I was in Waitress on Broadway at the time, and I saw the original off-Broadway of Kimberly, and I loved it so much, and I was like, I have to be a part of this. This is my full focus. And so I feel like I see something, and when I see something that I love, like Waitress was the same. I was in Wicked, and Sarah Bareilles put out the concept album of Waitress, and I listened to it constantly, and I was like, this is my next job. I'm getting this job. So I get really inspired by seeing things, and so far that has worked out.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So next two questions are kind of like with that. What advice would you give the young performers looking to break into musical theater professionally?
Man, be a forever student. And that doesn't just mean like taking lessons, like watch things. Look, I mean, the internet is just such an incredible resource. YouTube was kind of just coming out when I was in like eighth grade and stuff. And, I just feel like you can do so much on your own, even if it's not like financially feasible and everything. There's just so much out there. And so making yourself a forever student, like I really like to look up somebody that I look up to and who did they look up to and who did they look up to. I kind of do like a family tree of influences, and that has kept me a forever student because then you're finding out things about people and
Hmm.
where they went and what they did, and all the stories are so vastly different, and that is such a great perspective to have.
I love that. I love that. And to tie back to the last, what is a role that you hope to get in the future?
Man, well, I definitely want to originate something. That's kind of next on my list. But I would love to play like just go up the age bracket of A Little Night Music and Into the Woods. I
Okay.
just want to hit
Okay.
every single part in all of those as I get older.
I love that. That's awesome. All right. So to finish this up, rapid fire questions.
Okay,
Favorite city you've toured so far?
San Francisco.
One role you have. Oh, I've already asked this. Skip it. Go to warm up song.
Oh, go to warm up song. Oh, that's so good. I'm not being good at rapid fire. Ava Cassidy's version of How Can I Keep from Singing?
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dream duet partner outside of Jim.
Oh man, that's who I was gonna say. Honestly, I mean, I'm kind of getting it right now with Carolee Carmello, even though we don't really sing like a duet. So maybe we could do a concert where we like fully sing a duet.
And last but not least, what is one thing that is on your daily like you need to do on show days?
Ooh, drink electrolytes, and I like to steam after the show, not before.
Interesting. After the
Yeah.
show. Okay.
After the
Okay.
show. Kind of makes me like, I just like the experience. Yeah, it could all be in my mind, truly. I think so much is placebo, but if it's helping your mind, it's helping your voice. So I just like the come down of like warm steam. It kind of helps me sleep. The jury's out really if it helps, but it helps my mind, and that's what matters.
I love that. So the last question I ask every single person I have on the show is if you can go back to day one of yourself, what is one piece of advice you would tell yourself?
So I think I would say just enjoy it. That even when it feels serious, it's arts serious. There's no arts emergencies. And so I think like to remember that perspective and just laugh at yourself. Nothing is going to take you down that much?
I
I
love
think
that.
having a good sense of humor.
I love that. This is awesome. Thank you so much. Any last like piece of advice on if someone is on the fence about coming to see the show?
Absolutely come. I think this is that kind of show where it's not like known IP, and that's always a risk, especially with like, spending money. Theater is expensive. I think that this is one that you want to risk it on, and I think you will be really pleasantly surprised. So you should take the risk.
I love that. Emily, thank you so much. This was so great. This was great. I can't wait to see the show. I'll be there. And I have a special preview here from our friends at Kimberly Akimbo and Playoff Square that you'll be able to see at the end of the show, at the end of this show. And you'll be able to see Kimberly Akimbo at Playoff Square July 15th through August 3rd. Tickets are available at playoffsquare.org, part of the KeyBank Broadway series. Emily, thank you. This was awesome.
Thank you, Jimmy.
See you in Cleveland here very shortly.
I can't wait.
Bye, y'all.
This time, everybody waits. This time, we won't implode. This time, we hit the road. This time, we stay on track. This time, my voice won't crack. This time, we take the prize.